This is Leaf Life. All things cannabis for all people. Now, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf, and it's available in print in 14 states. Pick it up at your local cannabis retailer, and it's also available online at leafmagazines.com. You're looking at Mike Ricker right now on YouTube, your host of Leaf Life, with my co-hosts, Wes Abney, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And there's AJOG.
Hola, aloha, OGs.
And sitting in for Mary J. White, Douglas Douglas. Welcome to the second half of this Leaf Life show called Bikers and Cannabis. In just a moment, we'll talk about the new culture being accepted by bikers because of cannabis. And we'll spin AJ's wheel to see what products Josh Laurenti, who's the host of a really cool YouTube channel, which is partly about motorcycle enthusiasts, called Shade Tree Surgeon. And he collaborates with Sessions Extracts Cannabis Company, a Leaf Life sponsor. He's the man of all trades. This show's Greg the Guinea Pig. AJ, go ahead and spin that wheel and let's see what you're going to be hitting.
All right, y'all. We've got another awesome extract from Parks and Rec out of Washington State. I'm sorry. This one has two different flavor profiles, and so you can switch between the two. It's a sativa concentrate, strawberry lemonade, and strawberry.
Ooh, I like those dual flavor cartridges.
Did they just keep on making the technology so we can smoke better?
It's like dueling pianos,
awesome.
Wes.
Wow.
Well, it's fun when
smooth.
you can flip between strains.
Yeah.
And have like a sativa or an indica on one side and,
One purchase, easier for the consumer. That's always nice.
Yep, and this one tastes very smooth. I'm impressed.
And there's a lot of people that really love flavored vapes. Like, it's hard for us stoners who like our, single source rosin.
The connoisseur types that are like, yeah, give me cannabis derived or give me death, right? But no, I mean, we're seeing a lot of trends out there in the market. We do cartridges as well. And, a lot of people are just really happy with those botanically derived terpenes, giving them a similar profile and a similar effect without that price point.
Douglas, tell me about Painted Rooster.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're having a great time making sun gaze as always. We've started working with Green Solutions.
Sun gaze is a drink, by the way. That's what it says. Drink your THC.
You got to drink your weed, man. We do low dose beverages. We've moved into high dose as well, and a lot of great things coming down, man. Just had a really successful growing season. Nothing but blessed out there, man.
Douglas.
Yep.
Definitely not Douglas.
I'm not right now. No.
Well, he doesn't smoke nugs. He just turns it all into distillate so he can make beautiful drinks.
We also turn into live resin and cured resin and definitely distillate and rosin and just anything you can do.
Sun Gaze Drinks,
Awesome.
Painted Rooster. Go check them out. All right, now Sessions Cannabis. What a great company out of Oregon. Based in Portland?
Based in and around Portland, certainly. Yeah. Like I said, and not to jump the gun, but that's when it comes to bikers and cannabis, as I use the word I said for you not to, motorcycle enthusiasts and cannabis.
Bikers, whatever.
It's the preferred nomenclature.
Yeah, nobody's judging.
Well, somebody is, but that's okay. I can't see him from here. Right. The big change in it for me when we talk about bikers' attitude towards cannabis, motorcycles changing, it's a little bit to do with the beginning, but a lot more to do with people who don't necessarily feel a place in the world. And so you can call that a rebel, and maybe at some point you did. But it's, when you go out and you do something dangerous together, whether that be hunting or fishing or bungee jumping, you do something dangerous together, it creates a bond between people. Yeah. And so maybe you don't have the best home life, or maybe you don't have the best relationship with your family. There's plenty of people out there. When you go out and you ride with people, that becomes a family that you choose instead of a family that was assigned to you at birth. That's been something that's been very important for me. That's the whole reason that I met Jason from Sessions in the first place. And, forgive me if I go on for too long, but I got involved with a charity called Forgotten Angels. And what they do is they build they build tiny homes for young men who have aged out of the foster care system. We actually just purchased, with Sessions' help, we just purchased a 9-bedroom house that's going to be for young women, young mothers who have aged out of the foster care system. The idea being to break the cycle. So they don't have anyone else
to support. I mean, you turn 18 and then
They're made
you're like in
homeless.
the world. Yeah, you're just released.
So they're literally will take their belongings, put them in a trash bag, and make them homeless.
Oh my God.
They have no ID, no job, no checking account. Half of them have horrible credit and debt because their parents have taken stuff out of them. I would curl your toes. They have been sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused. We've gotten young men on the property who are 18 years old and don't know how to tie their shoes. It's actually very common.
sad.
Very common because they just stick them in Velcro sneakers.
Or read or write.
Or all the time. So where that kind of ties into why I met Jason from Sessions in Portland is I was flying out there to pick up a bike and ride it home, and he had reached out to Tampa, and he had reached out to me via email to donate a motorcycle that he had bought, cold call for no reason, didn't tell me anything about Sessions or about his business out there, just to try to help out Forgotten Angels. And that's how I met him. The rest is history. And I think very cool too, because our tagline is bad people doing good things. And there are so many people out there, this younger generation of motorcyclists, which I do think have something in common with the older generation, in so much as there's a lot of people out there who are looking for a family. They're looking for somebody to do something with it that cares about them. Sessions is a family-run business. Jason is a family man. This is not the old, you have this old school idea of bikers. Sure, you have an old school idea of, a 1970s cannabis farmer. It's a lot different than what it is today. So you have a guy like Jason and he has kids. He has a wife. I've never seen anybody work harder in my life. I've also seen him never miss a single soccer game.
Wow.
Takes them himself because you can be in cannabis and you can do this, and it's a honest trade that's done responsibly to a very high level while still being an incredible family man, while still being able to engage in motorcycle events and bring in people who don't have that, and then we all get to at the end of it get to smoke some sessions too, which is really nice.
Well, so the new regime of bikers, motorcycle enthusiasts, the Gen Y, millennials, Gen Z, are they just carrying the torch of the generations before them, or are they reinventing motorcycling?
Certainly some of them are. The thing about motorcycles is a lot of them are infinitely rebuildable. So you have a motorcycle from the 50s, 60s, or 70s. It's not going anywhere. All the parts are still made. They're still around. And then if they're not made, a lot of people are into doing it themselves. How many innovations have you guys seen in the cannabis industry? Well, it's not that hard to figure out how to sand cast aluminum, make a mold, and make your own part. So if, let's say, they don't make this, this little piece on a motorcycle anymore, well, if you're smart enough, you'll carve one out of wax and make a sand cast mold, and now you got a part.
But I'm not talking about motorcycles specifically. I'm talking about the culture of motorcycles.
The culture's definitely changed. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there,
fine.
man. So the culture's definitely changed. It's obviously way more acceptable to ride now. It used to be viewed as a real counterculture thing, and there's certainly still a lot of that. I would say that there's a lot more of what I just talked about people who are looking outside of what bike they ride, whether it's a Harley Davidson, a Yamaha, a Honda. I have a Harley Davidson, but I ride a Honda. That's my main motorcycle. I ride it all the time. I love the bike.
Hondas make great bikes.
I love Hondas, man. They don't love me, but at least Honda corporate doesn't.
I think, what Ricker's touching on is like cannabis, tattoos, bikers, like all kind of were in that category of being apart from culture, but it wasn't quite like terrible.
Sure.
It was like on that fringe.
Yeah.
And it's something I've written about in editor notes, how smoking weed used to be an act of rebellion.
Right.
And so it would lead to conscious awakening about other lies that were told and about the corruption and the systemic issues that are in our culture. And today now people just get a first hit at 21, allegedly, and then they're just getting high and it doesn't open their minds and it kind of reinforces them. But the reason I bring that up is like bikers, even Ricker doesn't want to use that word. To me, that's not a sensitive word. But he's in a different generation where being a biker was a bad thing.
Hell's Angels.
We come from that generation where smoking weed was a bad thing. Now it's more accepted, and so I think it is a redefining of the culture. And with weed, we don't want to lose that edge. Like you said, you like to smoke weed like it's still illegal.
So I think that just comes from it's this mixing, and something that's fun to do is fun to do for people of all ages. So when we put together a ride, so Sessions is and myself are really involved in the community in Oregon. So we organize a lot of rides. We get people together. We do charity events, and obviously we also all smoke a lot of weed. But, the overarching thing is that we're getting people together who maybe don't have anybody in their lives. And when I get there, you'll have 50 people standing there, and they're from ages 70 to 21.
Wow.
And so you have people that they have this commonality. The commonality is motorcycles. And I really want to, I know that there should be like this difference, but I really would rather bridge the gap than showcase how different it is, because what I want is for a 21-year-old to be able to talk to somebody who's 70. Yeah. And in the same breath, I'll say, how cool is it for somebody who is 21 years old and is able to buy their first weed Sessions vapor cartridge out of the store legally, to be able to talk to somebody who's in their 60s and be like, yo, let's sit around the campfire and tell me a story about the 60s, and a Chevy Nova with a trunk full of black market stuff rolling down freaking Highway 1. That's such a cool story to tell, and know that this stuff that you're smoking, the motorcycles that you're riding, stand on top of all this really cool history. And you know what? It is an outlaw culture. It is an outlaw history. You don't have to feel bad about that, because we can, bad people doing good things. Just because you're standing on top of outlaws and still having a little too much fun doesn't mean you can't be a good person. It doesn't mean you can't do something good. And like I said, the people who show up to our rides, Jason, the family man, and Sessions and everyone else there, exemplify that.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Really bringing people together across all demographics and ages around a passion. And that's what pot does too. Cannabis. I like to say 18 to 80. It's and I really think that it is the safer choice. Yeah. And ultimately, we need to show that we're a developed community, that we're starting to give back. And so kudos to Sessions. And I know I speak for Ricker and the whole team that as the Leaf, we would love to be involved in those charity opportunities as well, either advertise them or promote them, because we need to show that this is a giving back thing and that the plant benefits all people. It's not something that takes, it's something that gives.
Absolutely. It's a culture that's been vilified for so many years, and way more than motorcycles. Certainly motorcycles experienced a modicum of that in the 60s and 70s and 1950s. And still experience a little bit of it today, but not much, but nothing like marijuana, and the war on drugs. Growing up in the 90s, and 80s and 90s, you're like, this is, Reagan's war on drugs, is Clinton, I didn't inhale, like all this stuff where you're like, this is wild. I mean, they were treating it like it was freaking crack, and that is not that long ago. But it's long enough ago that somebody who's 21 right now, who was born in 2003, they have zero clue. No clue of what it was like to grow up smoking out of a tinfoil pipe, popping seeds like you got some Orville Redenbacher.
You're sending me back right now.
You know what I mean? In the woods with your boys and freaking, just having a headache and thinking you did the baddest thing ever.
It's actually very interesting, like the transition that we're in right now. And, it's interesting having everybody here at the table, because your drinking beverage company actually reminds me of like this comes to mind while this conversation's happening, because I feel like this is a really good alternative to alcohol, is like drinking cannabis. And that is one thing that's been amazing, because I don't drink alcohol. So now when I go out to the bars, I can actually request a drink that's served in a cup, and I'm drinking with my buddies, but it's a cannabis drink most of the time.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah. It's a new era, and eventually they'll be serving these at bars. And when you finish your ride or you get to the location you guys are going to, you can have your cannabis drink rather than alcoholic drink.
I think that's amazing. That's part of something we've been developing at Sessions for a while now, is the something that's shareable, because it's easy to share a vape, and Sessions vape cartridges are out of control. But having a pre-roll when you're at the end of a motorcycle ride, or let's say a fishing trip, or like whatever it is, something when you're out with the boys or the girls, or mix whoever you're out with. I'm always just imagining as the boys, because me and the boys go camping, So, but you're at the end of it, you're sitting around at a campfire. I don't really want to I don't really want to pass around a vaporizer and tell tall tales, man. I want something to be on fire.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so these pre-rolls they've been developing with just these insane machines literally over the past year are going to, when I say pre-roll, they're big enough for 5 people.
Sure.
Nice.
You know, 5 stoners, no less, especially if they're infused. Great conversation. Josh, now it's time for you to play Know Your Slang.
Yo, peeps, it's about to get lit.
Play this one.
Hello, fellow teenager. Bet. It's time to ask if you know your slang. Oh, this is gonna be crunk.
All right, man. Do you know your slang?
Some of it, certainly.
Fucking right you do, brother. Come into this with confidence.
Hey, you know what? I always got confidence.
And by the way,
Why not?
Josh from Sessions is going to be on show number 305. We've got him scheduled. He's coming up from Portland, and that's going to be a guns and cannabis show. Can't wait to get Josh on the air, and we appreciate Sessions so very much for being a sponsor of the Leaf Life podcast. We could not do this worldwide without companies like Sessions.
Good folks.
All right, here we go. Number 1. Know your slang. This is the slang term for a sport bike with an aerodynamic body shape that keeps the rider leaning forward and down. If the motorcycle had wings, you might be able to take it to the moon. Do you know your slang?
Well, you know, if you were asking me, I would call that a coffin for a GI who just got his first bonus, but we'll still call it a crotch rocket.
That's correct.
You know, it's like the Wile E. Coyote, you know, flying on a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've still got the titanium in my ankle from my first crotch rocket.
Were you in the Army? Was it right after you got your bonus?
No, actually,
Okay.
no, turned 19 and thought I deserved to put myself in debt.
Yeah. I love it.
Number 2.
America.
This is a slang term for the thing that covers your head that prevents life-threatening injuries. And it's also where you would dunk your mind with a mop.
A bucket.
A brain bucket?
Yeah, a brain bucket.
Correct.
I was just going to say crossed fingers, but
Hey, what's the
same.
What's the movie with Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda from the 60s?
Easy Rider.
Easy Rider. I love that scene where Jack Nicholson, he's like, I want to go with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, you can come with us, but you're going to need a helmet. Oh, I got a helmet. And then he shows up with a New Orleans Saints helmet.
Yeah. That was a good Nicholson impression, man.
I appreciate that. All right. And finally, number 3. This is the really hairy dude in Hawaii wearing a brain bucket on a 3-wheeler, otherwise known as the slingshot, who enhances tourists' experience in Waikiki when they catch whiffs of Dank Czar live resin vape carts along the sidewalk when he throttles by toward the Diamond Head sunset.
The bear on a tricycle.
That's a hell of a guess. That's a great guess. But it's not. It's the bearded Lorax, right?
Trick question.
Yeah.
Trick question.
Yeah, I really want a slingshot. When we went to Hawaii for Leaf Life podcast, nobody else would go in it with me, so it went unrented.
That's sad.
Aw.
Take me next time.
Just got to return.
Hey, Josh, where can we find you and your YouTube channel?
YouTube, just type in Shade Tree Surgeon. I've never deleted a single video, so I can't guarantee what will come up. But there's, about 1,300 of them. One will come your way.
And your social media handles.
Shade Tree Surgeon, just on Instagram, everywhere else. It usually comes up, though I mainly stick to YouTube.
How about Sessions? Where do we find more about everything you guys are doing?
So there's of course Sessions Cannabis on Sessions Cannabis Extract on Instagram. But me and Jason are making YouTube videos all the time. We also have a podcast that we do, Sessions Podcast. We're just kind of getting it started, but we got several episodes up. And just like y'all's show, it's not completely about cannabis, but kind of talking about what we do in the community, what new stuff we have coming up, the innovations and everything that they're doing. Also mixed with, whatever the hell we feel like talking about, obviously, with and overtones of green.
Well, we all want to follow you, man, and I can't wait to dig into your YouTube channel. Josh, thank you so much for being on the Leaf Life podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Wes, next week, disc golf.
Ooh, I'll give that a whirl.
Dude, throw one down.
Oh, yeah.
That was better.
Download this and all Leaf Life episodes at leafmagazines.com. And please subscribe on YouTube at Leaf Life Podcast V2. Now get ready for another episode of Stony Baloney, which is also available at leafmagazines.com. And please be kind to animals.
Your hosts for Leaf Life are Mike Ricker and Wes Abney. Leaf Life is produced by Mike Daly. Some of the music heard is provided by purple-planet.com. Every bit of cannabis you use is female, so please respect the ladies. Leaf Life is brought to you by Leaf Nation, featuring Alaska Leaf, Oregon Leaf, Northwest Leaf, Maryland Leaf, Amsterdam Leaf, and California Leaf. On the shelf now in your local retailer. Now, please stay tuned for this week's edition of Stony Baloney by Mike Ricker.
Stony Baloney by Mike Ricker.
Pinky swears are binding. Yes, pinky swears are a lighthearted agreement rarely enforced, but we all know that there exists a code with the intention of not being broken. Because in this sue-happy world of painful litigation, if we don't respect the sanctimony of a real deal, then why agree to it in the first place? Locking pinkies is a silly way to execute blood brotherhood without the pricks. And I'm not referring to the kind of pricks who purposefully cut you off in traffic, but the kind you make on your finger by poking it with a needle to draw a drop of blood. I've seen blood bonding in movies where two warriors will cement an agreement by slicing a line in their arm before the compulsory forearm bro shake, then sealing the bond by wrapping a leather strap. The man love is palpable. In fact, you think they might rub beards. Either way, the hand is the tool that secures alliances, and the inconspicuous pinky can be the secret weapon of assurance. Sure, most pinky swears aren't taken seriously, but if we create a legally binding understanding that once a pinky swear is consummated, there is no way to overturn it without going to hell or some shit like that, they can be enforceable. It needs to matter more. Along with saving polar bears. This is good. Because even though the pinky is the runt of the litter, it has plenty of potential. Your ring finger is cool, but is basically employed for the purpose of identifying the symbol for a ball and chain called the wedding ring. The middle finger, well, that's a no-brainer. Very useful indeed. The index finger is essential for booger harvesting and pointing at cool shit, which is of great importance. But the pinky has been underrated. Therefore, as unlikely as it is that it will work out, sometimes you've just got to see how it goes because it's the best option available. Kind of like when you're out of weed, but you've got a dirty pipe with a bunch of resin collected in it.
Stony Baloney.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming.
Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment.
Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug.
There may be health risks associated with consumption of these products.
For use by adults 21 and older.
Keep out of the reach of children.